right, what's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing fantastic. We're gonna be doing this stream right now, right now. Gonna get started here in just a moment. I will say that as I look at my figure, I can see the influence of like the modern influences that affect this painting and make it not look like the original. But we're just gonna work this today. Let's work it. Let's work it, baby. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Make it happen. Work it, baby. Work it. So one thing that's pretty important when working with oil paints. Actually, I should put my hair up before I get started. One thing that's pretty helpful working with oil paints is to work from a open environment to work with, so you can see, you can probably hear the door, my door, and the outside and everything. And that's because I keep my doors open just to have air flowing. Luckily, living in Southern California, I mean, just the weather here all year long. I mean, 9 months out of the year allows you to paint with your windows and doors open. It is a luxury. It is a luxury in itself. And you know what? Us Southern Californians pay a lot for those luxuries of paintable weather 9 months out of the year. Now, the way I'm painting this is very different than I imagine how William might have painted it. This is a study. So, this painting. All right, we've got some likes. Thank you so much. Got some likes from somebody. I don't know who. It didn't say, but in spirit, we're all like together, right? We're all in this together. Whether one person sends it or somebody else sends the likes, it is all appreciated. Of course, we all want credit. It's kind of like tipping at a restaurant, isn't it? Like when you tip at a restaurant, you want the waiter to know who it was. Have you ever dropped the tip into the tip jar and the waiter like turned their head the second you were about to put it in, and they didn't see it, and then you're like, you're trying to think like, oh, should I let them know that I tipped them? Do they need to know? And one of my goals for this painting is to reduce the hunch, her hunch figure. It's a little bit is a little bit much right now. There's like certain qualities about it that are inaccurate. But this is a painting that we're going to be working on for, I don't know, my goal, I don't have a TV right now, so my goal should be like 12 hours of painting today. But we'll see. You never know. You never know what turns up. So what I want to do is I want to use the white in this background here. And let's, or actually, let me get this hair. I'm going to go with some of this hair. Let me grab some burnt umber. What do I have burnt umber here? Grab my burnt umber. Burnt umber is just a really dark brown. Some umber. I don't know if everyone knows what an umber is. Alexa, what is the definition of umber? U-M-B-E-R.
From Wikipedia.org. Umber is a natural brown pigment extracted from clay containing iron, manganese, and hydroxides.
Alright, well, there you have it. Burnt sienna. Got a burnt sienna. You know what? Let's just lay down. I want my burnt umbers. Let me find my burnt umber. Here we go. We got a Michael Harding burnt umber. We've got a Gamblin burnt umber. Let's use up some of our less expensive ones first. We're just using this for some hair detail. And here we go. So I'm gonna go with some burnt umber. Burnt umber, very like dark brown, very dark brown that we can use. Burnt umber is great if you don't want to totally go to black. If you don't want to go all the way to black, which, you know, very rarely do I think you ever really need to. And here's the really interesting thing that I find the more I paint is how black as a color is a very unique color. There's very few things that are actually, you know, the color black. Because when you put black and then you put like a really, really, really dark brown next to each other, it's totally different. It is a totally different color. That's definitely one thing that I've noticed as the more I paint and work with different colors. You know what? Before I get going, there's a couple things I want to scrape off. I want to scrape off some paint boogers. So like right here is a little paint booger. Right here is a little paint booger. Just want to get these paint boogers off. Paint boogers happen when you pull off some slightly dried paint from your palette. You try to rub it onto the canvas and they get stuck on the canvas. And sometimes it's nice because it gives you texture, but then other times it just kind of ruins the look, the finish. Not always, but sometimes. Paint booger right there. And I just scrape it off. Like I know I'm gonna be doing many more layers, so they're probably not even gonna really show up. A little picking off the paint boogers. They're not really gonna show up anyway, so. Let's see, where can I find a couple more? Just look at it from the side here. Here's a little one. Alright, that one fell off. You don't want to pick them off too hard, because then it'll scrape the paint below, but sometimes it's good. Alright, but let's see. I have no clue how even close we're going to be able to get to the original, but we're just going to work this and just see what happens. We're just going to keep playing with it, experimenting. Take our time. I feel like there's this pressure from streaming that I have to work fast. People have to see me working all the time, and I think TikTok might even get mad at me if I'm not, if I'm not moving on the camera, but let's go. Got my burnt umber. Let me try to bring some of this burnt umber into the hair. And I want to reduce the angle of her body here, so. Alright, that's actually pretty decent. So I'm gonna go like this, give some detail into the hair right here. And does that feel more natural? So we just got to reduce the hunch just a little bit more around the backside, and I think we'll be good. I think this will be a good look. We'll be in a good position after that. Just clean off this brush. And we've probably been working on this painting about 10 hours so far. So not too long. 10 or 11 hours so far. So not really, outrageously long. Totally doable, Totally doable. Honestly, I might even spend more time than, if you knew exactly what you were doing, if you were already very like savvy with this painting style, you might have even I might have taken longer than somebody who like just knows exactly where to put what down, exactly where, you know, the exact methods used in this. Let me spread this white a little, so I'm going to grab just a hint of mineral spirit, just so we can increase the spreadability. So what I just do, I grab mineral spirit. So mineral spirit is a paint thinner, and all it does is thin the paint so that it spreads better. As you can see earlier, I couldn't really spread the paint, but now after adding mineral spirits, you can see how the paint actually, does what you want it to do, which is move around. And you don't always want it to be, you don't always want it doing this, getting all spready. But sometimes it's good. You want it when you want it, not when you don't want it, right? We all want things when we want it, but not when we don't want it. But that's the great thing about oil paint, because you have oil paint has three different phases that you can actually have. You can do the thin version of oil paint, which is what I'm doing, right? So you can see it's very spreaded. And, there's general rules about oil painting, like fat over lean, which is basically, thin oil paint at the bottom layers, and then thick oil paint filled with plenty of oil on the upper layers, and that prevents cracking. But ultimately, what I want to say is, I'm not going to go too much into detail about the rules, but oil paint is so flexible, right? You can make it in so many different ways. Not actually make it, but you got oil paint in its thin phase with mineral spirits. You got oil paint just by itself, which has all sorts of textures. And then you can just totally modify it by using various amounts of oil. And that's one of the wonderful things about oil paint, is there's so many different ways to manipulate oil paint to get the textures that you want or need. And it's a great medium. I love it. And I've heard people say to me "Oh, what? I'm kind of intimidated by oil paint," even though they've been doing acrylic for years, and it just blows my mind, because they say it's unforgiving, but I think oil paint is totally forgiving, because you're supposed to work in layers for the most part, and you just get so much flexibility as far as how you can manipulate your oil paint. Yeah, it takes a long time to dry, but sometimes that just makes it exciting, because you're painting into it, you're painting on top of it, and then you're mixing paint on your canvas. It's kind of nice. I mean, you have to be a little bit more careful as far as not to get the effects that you want, but you have to just be a little bit more careful. Or maybe you don't have to be careful, Maybe that's not true. Maybe you don't need to be as careful. But anyway, let's see how we can do this. I want to experiment with, let's see what we can do about tightening up the face here. Face is always so important. And her chin is a little bit long, or a little bit wide. So I wonder if I could thin the neck out a little. Her chin comes forward a little bit too strongly, is what I'm saying. So I want to take some of this and lower the, make it not come out as far. So her chin needs to not jut out as strongly. Have a nice delicate chin here. let's go like this. We're gonna go. Bring this around with a nice sharp point. And let's go. Can everybody see? I'm always concerned if people can see and whatnot. Let's go like this. Might even be able to bring the neck in just a little bit further. That might help the case. I'm trying to see. Her neck is. How's her chin look? I just don't want it to get too pointy. I don't want it to get too. Oh, now her chin's really pointy. See? Just these subtle little changes. But it's okay. Let's see how we can build this back up again. And we're gonna hit the pink. By the way, this is totally not a tutorial video. How I paint is very unacademic. It's a very unacademic method, meaning that what you learn, how you learn to paint in like school or whatever, I would totally like get failed by the teacher, or the teacher would probably like pull the brush out of my hand and be like, "Yo, dude, you're doing it totally wrong. This is not the way." Just to let people know that this is an unacademic. The way I'm doing it is very unacademic. Let's just put it that way. Might even have to work to fix this chin a couple times, but you know, let's go bring this in. Bring some highlight in right here. Bring in a little pink highlight. Subtle pink highlight around front of the cheek here. Let's see how it's looking. Yo, Samsung. What's up, Samsung? How you doing? Thank you for sharing that you like it. I will say, you know, credit to the original artist. None of this is, you know, of course I'm making it, right? But the idea is, you know, there's like, that's the one thing about some art is like, it's already so beautiful. Like, you know, art is great. I think the difference between like good art and bad art is like, or great art versus good art. Because there's some people that say there's no such thing as bad art, which I disagree. But you know, for the sake of commenting here, I'll agree. I'll pretend to agree and say, I think the difference between good art, aka my version of bad art, versus great art, since there's no such thing as bad art, difference between good art and great art is that great art, if you try to copy it, even if you're like only mediocre at copying it, it's gonna look amazing, right? Because just everything about it is so planned. The colors, the composition, the body movements, that whatever is involved in a painting, and like no matter how bad you are at like painting or whatever, if all you did was copy it and like even mediocrely, then and it's good, that is great art, right? Whoever made that original piece made great art. I think that's the difference between great art and good art. Whereas like if you make good art and someone tries to copy it, it's gonna look okay, right? Someone could like be mediocre at copying, it's just gonna look okay. It's not gonna look Like, you know, you're not going to be able to really tell the you know, it matters, right? Does that make sense? Like here I'm copying this. It's a fairly I would say the copy's okay, but it already looks so amazing. It already looks so amazing. I'm not trying to you know, talk about how good my work is. I'm trying to share an example of like what I feel is good art versus great art, where like all I had to do is copy what this other artist did, and even though a lot of it is off, there's some proportion misalignments, you know, some of the colors are different. The fact that it looks good, in my opinion, um, is really credit to the original artist because they made something so incredible, so beautiful that you'd have to work really hard to be bad at copying, to copy it poorly. And you know, I think that's the real difference between good art and great art. Is if someone tries to copy your art, and it and like all things equal, they're mediocre, and they try to copy both pieces. If they can copy your work and it looks good, then you've made great art. But if they copy your work and it looks bad, then you've made good art. And since there's no such thing as bad art, we won't even go there. Kidding. I am definitely of the school that there's a such thing as bad art. But the range of bad art versus good art is very very wide. So there you have it. All right, how do we modify this? This is, let's maybe do some thicker areas of paint here. I want to grab some of this brown. All right, Bawa wants to co-host. Sorry, I'm not doing any co-hosting today on TikTok. It's my first day back on TikTok. It's my first day back on TikTok, so you know, I'm still trying to get used to it. So I don't necessarily want to overwhelm myself. At least for this piece, I need to try to like focus. So I hope you don't take offense. Maybe you know, jump on the we'll do a live stream another time, but this is, I don't know, this is definitely taking up my creative thought energies. All right, so we got an opinion. Somebody has an opinion. Samsung Smart Fridge says bad art misses the mark, good art is skilled and clear, but great art sticks with you. There we go. Blending mastery, emotion, originality, and something unforgettable. Wow, look at that. Samsung, did you pull that off of did you pull that off of somewhere? That sounds like something that was written by. But yeah, exactly. There was a great example yesterday. Someone said there's no such thing as bad art, and you know what? Like maybe that's true. I'm not gonna be the one to, you know, argue about it because it is a valid opinion, right? It's a very valid judgment. And then I asked the question. I was like, I think the question is, great art is if you met a great artist, you saw their work, maybe you saw someone singing in the street, or maybe you saw a painting and you met that artist, and that artist said they were struggling, and you know, they didn't know how to get their work out there, and nobody was like seeing it. I think great art, the difference between the great art and just good art is you would actually potentially drop everything you're doing because you saw the talent in that person, and you would go represent them, be their agent, and even, you know, try to help get their name out there. I think that's the difference between great art and good art. So, you know, knowing that, it's like, who will you commit your time to? Who would you commit your time or resources to supporting? And that's the difference between good art and bad art. So people say there's no such thing as bad art, but if you were to take two artists, one was incredibly talented, and you would drop everything to go help them get their work out there, or another artist who makes stuff, and you have to ask yourself the question: if you would drop everything to help you get their word out there, then that's great art. But if not, then I think that's evidence that there's a such thing, there's a such difference between good art and great art, or even bad art. But I can already see some of the issues in this. What I got this red for? I got this little red in here. Let's start painting this kid. I got to start painting in this demon kid here. So let me see. We're gonna start just blending in some reds along the back here, some deep reds along the back. So I have decided that this is going to be a demon. I'm going to make a demon baby. Yo, Omizu, what's up, dude? Also, you really love the colors in the painting. When you try to paint, the colors just blend into a muddy mess. Hey, and you know what? That comes Samsung, thank you. But that also comes back to, that is the work of the guy that I'm copying. So I'm copying this painting from, I mean, yeah, sure. Like, I had to mix it, I had to make it. But, when another artist, if you're copying their work and it's just like their colors just work so well together that you'd have to try to mess it up in order to mess it up. I think that's great art, right? Like, just already so good. So many great qualities that you have to try to mess it up. You have to work and purposely do something to mess it up. And then we're gonna go like this, and then this arm is gonna come right under the shadow here. Let's just blend this in. So what's going on, Omizu? What are your thoughts? I'm sure this question comes up. I probably had this conversation with Omizu hundreds of times, but you know what? People change, right? People change. People's opinions change. Not always, but sometimes. So Omizu, what is your opinion on the crossover between good art, great art? Is there such thing as bad art? What doth thou think about such matters? And let's see here. I still need to adjust the area under the chin. This area under the chin is still bothering me, so I need to do something about it. Let me go. I'm gonna go bring in some white. Let's just go. There we go. Underneath the chin here. My goal is to really just elongate her neck a little. What's up, Ali? Ali? All E? How are you? Alright, so elongate the neck a little bit. And let's see. This chin, though, I'm just trying to find just the right shape of it. gonna find a nice little brown shadow. Modify this area around the neck here. Let's go like this. We're gonna go bring her neck around. And let's go like this. Create just this nice dark shadow. Just to start to like figure out some design here. And then I need to tighten up this chin. This chin is like, this chin is gonna come down and then it's gonna come up right here. All right. Oh, wait, let me check my messages. Remind me to always update my messages to show all messages and not some messages. All right, cool. So, muddy mess. Someone said something about a muddy mess. You know what? That happens. Muddy messes happen. Especially with oil paint, because if you're trying to paint wet on wet, it's always going to happen. You know, it can easily happen. It easily happens. So easy. So easy to get a muddy mess. How can you not get a muddy mess of oil paint, right? Like, it's one of those things. How can you not get a muddy mess? It's like, you're not even trying to learn to paint if you don't get a muddy mess with oil paints, I think. All right. Like, if you're oil painting and you don't get a muddy mess, it's like you're not even experimenting. You're literally just like, you must be like reading from a book or have like a teacher sitting there with you 24/7. When you're learning, I'm not saying like, you know, if you've actually done lots of practice that you should still get muddy messes, but I'm saying like, you know, if you're trying to learn how to oil paint and you're not getting a muddy mess, kind of weird, bizarre human being that you're not a human being if you're trying to learn how to paint and you're not getting a muddy mess. Now, if you've spent like hundreds of hours trying to paint, like hundreds of hours, maybe thousands of hours, and so you're still getting a muddy mess, then you might want to like look into, you know, maybe going to find someone to teach you. But I think if you're you know, if you're learning how to paint, you know, muddy mess is expected. So, I don't know. Let's go. Maybe instead of trying to blend exactly how I see him blending, I should try to figure out how to blend it on my own. I'll try that. Let's grab some of this color. Yo, Mean Girl, what's up? Looks amazing. A lot has since. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, keeping it going. Laura, you don't know how to do the palette, but do. Ah, there we go. Laura, all right. Thank you, Laura. Just want to give a shout out to Laura Desart. It's wonderful. I guess that's the nice thing to do is to like teach somebody, right? To like give them offer to teach them. But I feel like I'm learning from Laura right now. Like, why did I just totally blow off Samsung and just say, yeah, okay, good job, right? Like, oh, thank you, Allie. But yeah, Laura, check out her definitely check out her art page, and she makes some amazing and crisp artworks, portraiture. She's obviously very good at what she does, and I would take advice from Laura. I would totally take advice. I'd totally take advice from Laura Des Art. I don't know what the Laura is. It supposed to be Laura DE, like Laura, your last name is Des, and that's why it's Des Art, and it's just like a pun. I'm not sure exactly how that fits in, but anyway. Samsung, there you go. Samsung has found their mentor. Now, I just gotta warn you, the both of you. Mentorship is a lifelong commitment, okay? Because even if you stop talking, the things that you tell someone can last with them for their entire art career. Like it could just be minor things too. Like someone once told me to never use the color black, never have outlines, and never what was another like never thing? Never use black in a painting that features nature. Never use outlines, and never have outlines, and then never have outlines, but try to avoid outlines. And then there was like one other thing. And you know what? I've seen every single one of those rules broken in art that I like. So, you gotta take things with self-evaluation, self-consideration of what you like versus you know versus type of art you want to create and whatever. Yes, Omizu. Omizu, amazing streamer. Mizu has the patience of a single dad of 5 children or 6 cats and a monk. I'm gonna try to find a nice little blue. Let's find a little blue here. This is some of the white. You were definitely not going to say don't use black. Never had it on your palette. Don't use it. Yeah, you know what? So I'm talking about a lot of art, like classical art. Like I love Vincent Van Gogh, right? Like who doesn't like Vincent? He uses black outlines. I think. Either that or like a very dark brown, but he uses black outlines. Now again, his art's very very unique, very very specific, right? But you got to. But I think the more important thing is like know what you're painting for, right? Like if you just want to do beautiful portraits like Laura does, then you don't want to use black, right? It just you don't. But if you want to, explore the variety of possibilities when it comes to like fine art and other things, then maybe you don't want to listen to that advice. Maybe that advice will not resonate with you. So it's like you got to know yourself, right? I think art in general is a constant self constantly learning about yourself, your interests, your personality, your passions, your goals. And it doesn't always need to be something. I've lost my train of thought, but I don't know. Yo, Amit, what's up, dude? Regarding to Dez, people call you Dez because your Twitch name is Destini. Oh, Destini. You played Destiny? I played Destiny for a while. L. You love the art. Thank you, Strawberry. Really appreciate it. So, I do want to give credit, right? Credit to the original artist, which is not myself. The original artist was a guy named William Bouguereau. William Adolphe Bouguereau, I think. Bouguereau. From back in the 1800s. So, none of this I didn't come up with the color palette. I didn't come up with the figures. I mean, yes, I'm painting them now, but ultimately this is the brainchild of another artist, and I'm just studying it. So, just give me a little credit there. I would never paint the lips like this because the lips are funny. That's why this person was a master. I guess Samsung left. You're gonna argue that most of Vincent's outlines are darker color of what he was painting, so navy, blue, dark green. All right. Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. Let's take a look. And you know what? It would be really difficult to differentiate between black and super dark blue. I don't know. I don't know if everyone can see the colors clearly enough. And you know what? It will be very difficult to differentiate between black and very dark blue here. So, I mean, I'm sure maybe we're both right in a sense of very dark outlines. But this is obviously like, he used other colors, navy blue up here, reds for the bench. This one I think would be challenge. This is probably a very dark umber here. Let's go into the sunflowers. And here's the thing: is I definitely agree in the sense of Vincent definitely used alternative colors, but I also feel like they probably took black from Japanese prints. Maybe not always, but I don't know. Let me see if I can find an example of where he might have used black. Like, oh, it might be hard to justify because this could either be a super dark brown or it could be black. But black would have been, mixed. The black would have interfered with the other colors. The other colors would have interfered with the black of this paint on this figure. Like these could have been black. These little stripes here. I'm gonna say that Laura is 100% right that most of his outlines are dark green and navy. I'm gonna say that she's 100% right on that, as far as most. But I will say that there was probably at least a few pieces that arguably he used black. Like I feel like he could have used black for the birds, black for these windows. But we're talking about outlines, so let me see. I don't know. What are some outlines that he might have used black? I mean, I feel like these trees are really hard to tell. But he could have used... They could have been black. These outlines could potentially have been black. Either that or very, 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 very dark umber. Like, an ultramarine, super dark ultramarine mixed with, like, burnt umber. But these look like black. This one, probably a dark green. As you were saying, like a very dark green. But then, when it comes to dark green, did he mix black into the green? Or did he mix a burnt umber into the green? Or an ultramarine into the green to make it that dark? There's a question, Anyway, let's see. It's one thing you notice when you're studying self-portrait study copy. Do I have any recommendations for doing older art from Renaissance for like fairies and the Celts? You want to be drawing that style on digital. Do I have any recommendations? Recommendations how? Like recommendations on who to study? Or do you mean like recommendations on how to do it? I mean, the first recommendation is to get a teacher, or find a mentor, or find a tutorial.
Oh. Hi. How are you?
That would be my very first, as far as like technique goes. But like, as far as books go, if you want to pick up a book, I found this. I think this book is pretty rare. You can't just buy it in copies now, but this is an amazing book. I got it at a library during a used book sale. But if you want to study art and just like get like a quick rundown of quick techniques from 80 different artists, I mean, this is a great book. It goes, into Impressionism. It goes, the Renaissance. Covers, everybody from 1400s through the 1600s. El Greco. I don't know. I never know how to pronounce his name. Titian. So Renaissance was 1400s. So it starts with, Da Vinci 1500. So 1400, of course, Piero della Francesca. I don't know. I don't actually know that artist. Van Eyck. I think most people know Van Eyck. Giotto is the very first one. They start with Giotto in 1300, but I think the Renaissance was 1400, Italy. So that would be anything, 1400 to what, 1500, I guess. But if you can find this book, I recommend getting this book because it's not like a full-on tutorial. It doesn't teach you all of the techniques. It just teaches you like a couple of quick tidbits, and then you can explore from there. But if you're doing digital art, I mean, if you want to do digital art, find a tutorial. That's all I can say as far as digital art goes. Find a tutorial. All right, this is a lot of 30 minutes. I've only got a minimal amount of things done, but I appreciate the discussions. But we do got to. I want to finish this work at some point, right? Let me see. We got this brown. Let's try to find some greens. Let's see. A bit of green here.
Pretty girl. Once you make all your food, why not? Are you going to?
I'm experimenting right now. I'm laying on some greens here that are a little bit wet, that are very wet, and I'm gonna see what happens if I, when I start to blend them with my next color. And also, one thing I learned about some of the old masters is a lot of them would use green as a undercolor for flesh tones. I would have never guessed that, but green is definitely a color that shows up when you look at skin close enough because of all our veins and stuff. So this is a messy way, but let me see. Just experimenting right now. I could probably spend years trying to study this painting and never really figure it out. Let's see. Huh. There you go. No, that's a gray, but let's go. Let's see what happens. Let's just go under here. Let's see if we work some magic. I don't know. I don't know what I just did. Just let some color start dripping. Let's see how. Let's layer some colors on top.
Hey, that's mine. You can't have it. No, you can't have it. Sit on your perch.
Let's go like this. We're gonna bring this over.
Sit on your perch.
Capture some of this. I say the look didn't come out too bad. It actually gives like a nice little blend of like pink and green. But I just don't know if this is the shade I need. And let's go into here. Let's just take this, make some bigger strokes with it. Grab some more of this pink. Am I working on a layering technique? Yes, I am. I am working on a layering technique. Lots and lots of layering. And my goal with what I'm kind of like experimenting with right now, is figuring out how he was able to achieve such subtle greens, and you know, of course, glazing. But I feel like it's also a little bit more than just glazing, and maybe maybe I'm overly judging of how he achieved it. And overthinking it. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. We'll keep. Glazing, color mixing, all the above. All the above. Let's see what we could do about down here. This breast area could use a little bit of work. Like these soft, subtle transitions. I just cannot figure out how he gets these like really subtle color shifts. I'm probably just not using the right colors. Let's try to find a fleshy pink. This one. Not even close. even close. Glazing up. I'm gonna do a little TikTok puzzle to prove that I'm a human being. And let's go right down into here.
Sorry.
See, this one's way too round. This one's way too rounded. Let me see if I can move this up a little bit. Maybe I need to move it in. Maybe I gotta move this in. Maybe I just need to round this one out a little bit more. Or, no, actually, you know what? I think I just gotta reduce the width of this top one, give it more of like this natural like drop into, yeah, just a natural drop to the top of the more natural drop. Just adjust the shape of that. let's try to find some more natural colors now. What's that?
Ha!
What's that? Did you win a lottery or something?
No. Frankie Cuevas just got murdered.
Who's that? Maybe I should try a different brush. Maybe these brushes that I'm using probably part of the problem. Maybe I should try a flat brush. Some flat brush work. Always blame the brushes, right? If something's not working, blame the brush. Blame the brush. It's not your skill, it's not your lack of knowledge, it's your brush. Did I only get 5 views? No, Koopa. I think it just hasn't updated yet. I've definitely, there's been at least like 10 people that have chatted. Well, let's see. Has it only been 5 people that chatted? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just from the chats alone, there's been at least 8 people. So, and plus mine, because I came in the room to. Oh, you mean at this given moment? Yes, there's only 5 people watching. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think that the reason being, like, I visit these other live streams, and I think it's just, I'm very glad, right? Because I understand that the stuff that I paint, it does not have like a huge audience. Like, even if I go to a museum, there's rarely ever somebody stopped at this painting, and looking at it. But I'm sure if I painted like Robert De Niro, or if I painted like Superman, or if I painted Goku or something, I'm sure I would have an audience. It's just, people don't like the making of fine art. I think does not really attract as many people as like if I did like, as much as I did if I did like, I don't know, some pop art thing. Just doesn't attract as many people, and I'm cool with that. Sometimes I stream and I'm like, wow, there's so many people in here. Like, I love to be able to talk to them all, or like have extended conversations, but it's just not always feasible. Can't just always, just can't happen all day long, and be able to paint, right? So I think it's for the better in some ways to not have a huge group. I mean, yeah, it would be great, but I don't need 500 people watching at once. I'm cool with however many. I mean, yeah, 500 people, great, that's fine. But I just don't think I would be able to maintain that level of expectation. So I am very glad for the people that are here now. You know what I should do is look up the types of brushes that this guy actually used, instead of trying to make up. But I'm using a Comer brush right now because I think when I see the painting up close, you can see that he uses a lot. He has a lot of like these little wispy strokes of excellence, and I think that comes from some sort of flat brush, just either a flat brush or a Comer or some. I doubt it's individual brush strokes though. It's a mix. It's for. Fortunately, it's now for you would stop. I think it's funny how, like, Koopa, I don't know where you're from. Or what your experience streaming is. But like, I like how like Koopa feels bad that I only have 4 viewers. When I first started streaming and making videos years ago, you don't need to share it. I was just, trying to introduce this idea here. But when I first started streaming and making videos years ago, I would get like maybe 10 viewers in a year. Like the first year that I started making videos, I would get like 10 viewers on a video. And to me, having 10 viewers or almost 10 viewers on a stream is just, to me, that's like awesome. That is enough for me to like keep doing it, you know? So let's modify where this hair is. I'm gonna push this hair out a little bit. So what I'm trying to say is that having 5, 10 viewers is freaking awesome, okay? To get 10 viewers in an entire year used to be incredible for me. So to have more than 10 viewers on a single stream is like magic, okay? Let's just put it that way. So I'm trying to start to build up her dimension. This brush might even be too comey. Well, you know, let me see. Let me see what happens if I add some mineral spirit to it and give it a little bit better of a spread. Help it spread a little bit better.
Hey. Ooh, this is a stinky one. Who did this? Burn? Or poop? Somebody. Ooh.
Cookie heard you say her name. She's like, what's she saying my name for?
Yeah. Calling you out on your stuff.
She's like, your poop smells bad too.
Yeah, because the toilet, they flush it. She just sits here and she doesn't cover it. I she didn't litter last night. It's
You know, before we get into this, maybe, how did she get these? How did he get these super subtle like shadows? Just these are just amazing. Just fascinating use of a transition color that I just can't even fathom how to do it. These greens are just so we must have just laid down some dark greens and then just confidently painted over them without thinking too much. Let's see, let's go right under here and we're just gonna go add some of this green. But yeah, thank you, Koopa. Really appreciate that. You know, it is one of those things where it's like, you know, the views there. Sometimes, you know, the views are there. Sometimes they're not. But it's great. I think it's great to have like have had the experience of like just making videos that nobody watched, and then now that only a few people watch them, I mean, this is still pretty exciting to me. I think I need to darken the screen, grab a little bit of a blue. And this is like a totally different way than I would normally paint because, you know, usually my paintings go much quicker. They don't have this much they don't have this much detail and like color variation in it. In fact, most of my paintings are pretty flat, I would say. And that's probably my biggest issue is really flat paintings, flat portraits. And you know, this really is helping me like understand how to get less flat paintings. But also, I think the biggest challenge for me is understanding how to use the color green on the skin. It's part of the flesh. It's part of flesh, and it's a little bit, you know, it's a bit of a learning curve. It's part of a learning curve. This is still like me just playing around, just seeing how this can end up looking. Blending these like really bright colors on top onto it. Let's see, we've got like a flesh tone. Maybe this flesh tone worked better down here. Let's go into the green a little bit. Okay. Let's try to navigate this section right here. This section is going to go up. Like from a distance, it still looks it still looks okay, but they're just up close. You can see all of there's a lot of patchiness up close, and you'd instantly think like, why is it so patchy? Why is there's these little dark patches? Well, the obvious reason is because I don't know the technique William used, and maybe he was probably also more patient. Like he would really wait till the area dried, and then he would just paint over it. So there's my analysis, my personal analysis of what probably results in some of this. But I do feel like we are reaching a point where we are starting to get some level of dimension. Let's go. Let's add a nice little purple red section here. Okay, so just gonna go up a little bit. And now what do we do with this? You know what, let's raise this a little bit so I can work at eye level on this section. And we're gonna take another brush and we're just gonna work on blending this area of the flesh. So we're gonna come right here. This might be a little bit too highlighted, but to give it a bit of a let's add a little bit more of a pink, darker pink here. There we go, that's a little bit more accurate. You right, Kat?
I'm in a lot of pain today.
Oh.
I'm taking my medication.
You know what? I might even need a lot more of this green. Let me see. Let me grab some more of these greens here. Just not be a wimp with laying it down here. So let's see, we got some of this in here. This could backfire, but what I'm really trying to capture right now is just like these subtle green areas that help to create these like really interesting color transitions. This could backfire. No matter what, I know that with the oils, I'll be able to work it over and over. Let me clean this brush off. Let me see if there's another brush that I can play with. I have so many brushes. I don't use them all usually. This is a filbert. Got my big comber brush. Let's try to use this. Got this nice long flat brush. I'm just concerned that it might be a little bit too dense. The fibers might be just a little bit too dense, but maybe that's what we need. Again, tonight I should probably research what brushes William Bouguereau used, because that can probably have an impact on how, you know, there's such a big difference between. Let me just share my brushes here, just for examples. Let me just share some brush samples here so we can get an idea of what I'm trying to say. Why brushes matter, but not, you know, not as much as you might think, but yes, they matter. So I have two brushes here, and they're different brushes. This is a filbert, a little wider. This one's a synthetic fiber, I think, some sort of the ivory long flat. So what you're gonna see with this brush right here is, you know, it's very dense. Well, maybe you can't see it, but the fibers are very, very thin. These are badger hairs. And, you know, it's very dense, densely packed, but it's also like very gentle too. It's very gentle. You know, I think it helps to create like a very wispy brush effect. Whereas this one, I don't know if you could tell, it's more of like a feeling thing. You could definitely feel it. But this one's a synthetic fiber, and you could tell it's much rougher. Each hair is denser and less like flexible and bendy. Less delicate. Each fiber is much like less delicate, and you could feel that the density of this, like it's harder, and this one's like just denser. Like it feels like hair, right? Like if you take hair and you squeeze it together, there's like a squishiness to it, whereas this is just hard. So, you know, I'm trying to decide. So I haven't figured out which brush. My guess is that he probably used like a natural brush, like a very natural brush. But we're just going to play with this and just keep going and building up this color. Let's see where it takes us. Where will this brush take us? I don't know. But one thing that's good though is I think the mixing these reds with the green will actually deaden the pink a little bit and give us a little bit more of this color that we're looking for, which is like a slightly off pink flesh color, but not quite white. It's just such a subtle difference that it would be really difficult to like just mix on your own. And the minimal like brush strokes that I can see, I'm trying my best to like copy some of them. But I think like if you are to do a master study on an artist, like there's a couple opinions that I have. One of them being that even if you were to copy every single little detail, you know, you really are only scratching the surface, right? The painting is really the surface. The final painting that you copy is really only the surface of an artist's work, right? like however many years it took them to reach that point, however many studies they did to figure out their figures and the movements, whoever their mentors were, that is all stuff that you can't copy. And as I said earlier, like all these, like the colors, the figures, the movements, their bodies, you know, these are all things that have already been laid before me. That doesn't really begin to do justice of saying like, oh, well now I know how to do that, right? But what's even, you know, extra interesting is also like, even if you were to copy, even if I was to copy this whole thing, I think like there's certain things that I probably can't know from the artist. Like, what did he do that was just like random, right? I like to imagine that everything they did was something super precise and specific to this piece, but sometimes, you know what, in certain areas they're like, yo, this is gonna look good if I just make it with bravado. So if you try too hard to copy, you might not even capture the attitude of the artist at the time. And I'm not trying to I don't want people to overthink the making of a copying of a masterwork or whatever, master study. I'm trying to overthink it, but moral of the story, I think it's really difficult to understand an artist just from master copies alone. So anyway, that's my spiel. That's my spiel there. And I really don't think this is the right brush, but let's go ahead and play with this brush on a different area. Let's go down into here actually. Maybe if we work on an area that's not so wet, it'll have a different effect. So we're gonna go right into the elbow here and just build up some elbow textures. Yeah, it's a little different. Let's see. And let's see, here we go. Let me see, how do I see the chats? Can I see just chats here? How do I see just the chat conversations on TikTok? I guess it doesn't tell me. Alright, okay. Let's keep like this. I think the other thing about this painting though is it's hard for me as I'm doing this piece. It's hard for me to tell whether I'm just being impatient or whether I'm totally unskilled. And that's a funny thing. Probably it's more so that I'm unskilled, but also if I'm really thinking about it, part of it probably also has to do with patience, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, I spend so much time painting in plein air, painting, in like really quick sessions. And I rarely ever paint in like lots and lots of layers. So, when I come across a piece like this that I know is built over many hours, many layers, knowing that some colors are built upon another color, like say some of these greens, right? Some of these greens in the original were probably painted over like after like 10-20 hours, right? He maybe painted over it like 10 or 20 hours later, but I'm working on it right now, which means that I'm getting a totally different effect. And that's what I mean when I say whether it's like skill versus just impatience, or maybe not even impatience, but just not giving the time that oil paint usually academic oil painting requires, which is lots of time. Letting the paint dry and things like that. Let me see down here. It's an interesting section, but probably need to also come down into here and bring a subtle glaze down. Let me find a browner pink. Browner pink here. Okay, you want to go out to get lunch?
Ready?
Huh?
What'd you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go out to get lunch?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
In a little bit.
Shower first.
Huh?
You gotta take a shower first.
Okay.
Shower.
Go get that shower.
Gross.
Oh, and here's what we got to do. So we got to. We're gonna go. We're making this a demon baby, which means we want to start adding in some darker shadows around our figure here. I guess we could actually just go pink into some of the whiter areas. Go really pink. And these are going to be some flesh tones, flesh areas. Start to paint him in. So this will test my ability to work. So I'm working from a reference, but I'm changing the reference
So cute.
just to make this a more interesting, modern, like maybe even controversial painting. Let's get some controversy, people. Let's make some controversy. Instead of making this a baby cherub. Alexa, who is Eros?
According to Wikipedia, Eros is the Greek god of love and sex. The Romans referred to him as Cupid or Amor. In the earliest account, he is a primordial god, while in
Alexa, off. Alright, so instead of making him the god of love and sex, I'm just making him a random, like demon. Random demon baby. Random demon baby. I'm just trying to think how I'm gonna manifest that. Gotta be lots of reds and greens. Let's go down to here. See where we could find. Try to decide like where the reds would go the deepest. Where would the reds be the most, whether it be on the highlight or whether it be on like the mid tones. Go ahead and bring this pink in. This very white, red pink. We're gonna come up here. Let's go like that. It's gonna go to the bottom of the wrist right there. Up on the wrist right there. Right to where her wrist kind of curves. And we're gonna go even higher on the wrist. And this is gonna go even higher. So this is a little baby fat section. Little section of baby fat right here. Another little section of baby fat right there. And let's go bring this hand up just to sketch it out. let's try to find. Let's make some really deep reds here. I'm gonna bring some deep red in. Let's grab our white here. And I've mostly avoided this because I wasn't fully ready to commit to this idea. But I think now's the time to start building up this figure here. I guess where would his tail come out? I don't want to make her. Should I make his tail come out and like give it like a little S shape? Or should I make it come out like right here? And give it like some symbolism of pointing at the belly. Maybe we should just have it coming out to the side. Let's do that. Let's have it just coming out to the side. We're gonna do a nice little shadow. Oh, you know what? I still haven't fully committed to where his butt is gonna end. Maybe if I do. Yeah, let's not do the tail just yet. I still have not decided where that's gonna go. The tail. So let's not do that just yet. Let's go. Let's go bring this color in. White, yeah, a little bit more of our white. Let's try to find this guy, this area. So his leg is going to come like right from here. Let's try to shape this a little bit better. Coming from the knee. Come down. In the knee. Right about there. Right? That could be. We're going to bring his leg back a little further too. This is almost like really pushing his foot out a little further back. I think this should be a good spot right here. Let's just fill in the space here. Let's go like this. And bring this leg out here. He's got a very small, the calf should start right around here. So we're gonna bring this calf down, bring his leg down. some of these proportions, bring this down. Just keeping it nice and loose for now because things will be changing. Things will definitely change over the course of this painting. Let's get shadow color right here. So right over here, we'll get the shadow underneath. I don't want his calf to be too small. So this should start to form in like that, right around there. Does that look right? That looks okay, actually. Should be about the same size as this one, which I think if I just have to adjust some of those things, some of those characteristics of the foot. But other than that, I think we're in a good place right now as far as our demon child. And this might even be easier to paint than the other one because I feel less compelled to capture it over realistically compared to the other one. So we're gonna go like this and just blend some of this in here. And let me see about this arm. So it should actually come out right around to the wrist. So wherever the wrist is on the other part, that's where this should come out. Now we're going to bring this up. Get a nice soft transition here. Should go right about their eye line. Come out just a little bit. Bring this up. Okay, elongate it a little bit. And I'm trying to decide what he's going to be holding, because I guess I should give him like a little baby pitchfork, right? If we go little baby pitchfork. Just an innocent little pitchfork. The only problem is I don't want it to get too close to her face, though. I don't want the pitchfork. It's just a little baby pitchfork. It's cute. It's gonna be a cute little baby pitchfork. So let's see, if we make the pitchfork going through his hands, he's probably gripped it right here. We can make it actually go past his head. Now we're gonna make it go past his head. This little baby pitchfork, not a full-size pitchfork, just a little baby one. I'm just sketching it out how it would be shaped. Little baby innocent pitchfork. Let's see how we're gonna design a pitchfork here. So we're gonna come around. Get a nice elegant round shape here. It's a little baby pitchfork, nothing too big. Just gotta remind myself. That's why I keep repeating it, because I gotta remind myself. Maybe make it a little closer. Let's make this a little bit longer. Give it some more length here. honestly, I probably should have just given it this little pitchfork and just kept it like this. But now I got to figure out how to draw his hands gripping the pitchfork. Which that I kind of have to make up on my own. But that's the test, right? Isn't that the test? Like, you know, it's one thing if you copy. It's another thing if you can take everything that you've learned and try to, try to turn it into something. So let's go like this. We're gonna paint this down, and then we're gonna go. Just gonna equalize it here. You know what? I'm going to change up his hair. I'm going to change up his hair, give him black hair. So let me see if I can at least sketch this out. I'm going to give him really slick black hair. And how should it be? How should it be done? I give it slick black hair. It's got to be cute. We got to give it like cute slick black hair. Gotta give it like an angle, right? I guess you gotta get an angle coming up like this, right above the eyes. Gonna have like a little. And then of course, studying a reference right now. Gonna give enough room on his forehead to. And we're gonna go around his ears. So wherever his ears are. Right around there, I think. It's a good spot for his ears. Give him like a tail. Let's see how this looks. Just slicked curly black hair. We painted some brown. I want to see how the shape manages.
It's kind of cool. I like this. I like this hairdo. Do a little tail in the back here. Little tail in the back. Little hair tail. There we go. That's cute. You can already start to see it coming together. Let's see, we're gonna go build this up a bit more. Make it nice and slick. Just paint this in. Get right to the top of the nose line right there. Eye proportions, you know, compared to an adult human is going to be a little different. So bring this down. Soon. Let's start to put some green around him, some greenery. I'm gonna go grab some of this green, grab this yellow. Grab some leaves here. And let's see, we're gonna have a leaf right here. And then let's get a different shade of this same leaf. We're gonna come up into here. Just a leaf a day. A leaf a day will make this more tolerable. If I had to paint all the leaves in one sitting, I don't think I'd be able to do it. But, you know, if I could do a leaf a day or a couple leaves a day, I think I can manage. Let's get some leaves in this section right here. I'm gonna go above this. Let's get right into the head here. And then let's go a little bit darker with this green. We're actually gonna take a little break soon, but for now, just finish this piece right here. This leaf. And let's see. So this is, yeah, okay, cool. We got some of the details. I think the greens are really gonna work well with the reds. And as we start to build up our characters, yeah, I was gonna say, like, initially I wasn't too happy with the fact that she looks so different than the original. But honestly, the more I look at her, I'm like, okay, so you know, she looks like a little bit more of like a modern, maybe even cartoony. She's kind of cartoony. That's not so bad. Now I will say her eyes are a little bit bulgy, so I will have to update that. But other than that, I mean, we're doing okay. We're doing okay for a master study of, like, you know, a highly reputable and recognized artist. That probably spent, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours doing this exact type of artwork. The work of William Bouguereau. So we're going to take a little break and then come back later. But those of you here right now, and those of you that are going to be here in the future, or those of you that, you know, watch this as a pre-recording in the future, or those of you that are just that were here before, thank you, and we'll be back a little while later.